Afternoon all. I was going to start rebuilding the block, but I got the crank in and then started putting the pistons in, and a couple of the oil rings on two of the pistons I wasn't too happy with in the end, so I've decided to try and find a new set of pistons for it. I'll ring around it's Sunday today, so tomorrow I'll ring around and try and find a set of 0.5 over piston rings for it. But in the meantime, I did put the head together. I thought I recorded putting the valves in, putting the springs in, and the retainers and the collets, and then tipping upside down, filling the ports with water and blowing air in the exhaust and inlet ports to test them. I thought I recorded that. The phone sat there and looked like it was recording, but no, not at all actually. It just sat on a stand looking at me, doing nothing. So you missed that. I also put the valve stem seals in, and the ones I like to use are the Victorines ones. It came in the kit. They're not plastic. They're steel, and you've actually got to tap them on, and they stay there. I'll put a picture up. But those went in. The valves are in. I did fill the ports with water. I blasted air up them. Nothing on the exhaust side. On the inlet, I think it was number 1 and number 3, had tiny little bubbles coming through, so I re-lapped them in until I didn't. So all the valves are sealed now. They're all in place. And then I'll show you the rest of the head. It's pretty boring, you know, but it's head assembly at the end of the day. Cheers. As you can see, the cam bearings in this motive had a hard life, man. Quite gouged, pitted. And this fine looking assortment is stuff that a mate of mine that was into Pintos had made years ago for removing cam bearings, sorry. Clever bugger, eh? With a giant smile, old town knew she was proud. Smokestack blowing, echoes were pounding. We stood a common ground. She swang the width and the depth of a Grand Canyon in her step. Yeah, horse fly whipping, echoes were pounding. We stood a common ground. Those bearings are much better. Those ones are fucked. Eating oats is all I can get. Gotta take what's given at the end of the day. Otherwise it's a crime shame. She swang the width and the depth of a Grand Canyon in her step. Yeah, horsefly whipping, echoes are pounding. We stood a common ground. So with the head pretty much complete, setting up the valve clearances, I just set them up on the bench while it's cold. So the head is all completely set, just ready to be bolted on whenever we're ready. Obviously it's cold. Well, you know, I don't think I've ever done one hot, actually, to be perfectly honest, but inlet is 0.2 or 0.2 millimeter, 1/8 thou, and exhaust, if it focuses, 0.25 millimeter or 1/10 thou. Alright, and all I do is I just make sure that both lobes on the one I'm working on are facing up, and then just slide them in and check the clearances. I'm going to do all of the inlet first, and then I'll do all the exhausts. Okay, so that's the head all pretty much done. The cam seal and pulley and everything else can go back on when it's on the engine, but apart from that, that's the head done. It is ported, cleaned, surface is done. The ports are mild. I went bigger on the exhaust ports, not so big on the inlet, just cleaned it up. Everything has been stripped, cleaned and checked, so it's getting a proper lift. This is all standard camshaft, standard valve setup and stuff. So I checked the valves for leaking by when I put them in. I put all the springs and everything on, turned upside down, filled it with water, and then just blew air through the ports. Number 1 and number 3 had slight leaks, so I re-lapped them. And I just lapped them until I had no air coming through or no bubbles in the water. I did try and record that, but for some reason it didn't record at all. So valves are done. Everything's set now. So, you know, 0.2 on the inlet valve clearance, 0.25 on the exhaust. This is a standard cam. So if you've got anything aftermarket cam wise, you might want to check on a data sheet what they should be set at. It's fine to set them cold. I've always set them cold, and normally I am setting them on the head on the bench, and then the head just gets bolted on afterwards. Spray bar was the one that came off the engine. I just blew all of it out with the compressed air and stuff. Made sure it's all nice and clear. So all the valves are all seated, all lapped in, and it's kind of ready to go. So what I'll do now is I'll just wrap that up, and then that can just sit to one side until we get it all ready to go back on the head, back on the block. Sorry, but apart from that, that's it. That's a standard head. The cam, these standard cams on Pinto turbos go really, really well. It's just got enough lift and duration for them. It's some of the fast road cams don't do that well. This is probably one of the best cams out there for a Pinto turbo setup. All right. Like I say though, if you do have an aftermarket cam, check the data sheet before you set all your valve clearances, because they're probably going to be different. I think some of the fast road cams are the same as the factory cams, but you might pay to check. Cheers. Lastly, with everything I do, I have a tendency to wrap them. Just for the simple fact is sometimes you don't know how long bits are going to take, parts are going to take, so how long things are going to sit out for. So, the likes of the block, the likes of my turbo block over there, everything just gets wrapped. The same as, spare engines, spare blocks. I pull them apart, I strip them, and I just wrap them up so that everything is all sealed. So that, like I say, you never know how long parts are going to take. So it pays to, especially in a garage like mine where you're working on shit, it just stops keeping it keeps all the shit out while you're fucking around with other stuff.